Hello guys, welcome back to another tutorial. Hit the bell icon button so that you don't miss out any tutorial.
Alright, in this video we're going to be taking some of those hard-coded bits of code that are in there and making it so that it can be portable to any environment. We're going to be using environment variables for this. Environment variables are much like they are on an operating system, and if you've used them there before, this concept will seem very familiar. But what we're going to do is basically declare the bucket that we want to upload our images to in their final location. This is going to be the bucket that we use later with CloudFront to deploy our images and deploy our HTML in a way that makes our search engine accessible to the world. Let's go ahead and jump in here and take a look at environment variables. They're very powerful, even though they're a very small feature. Alright, in the last video we built this beautiful function that's going to arrange all of our information. It's going to process our image, it's going to call recognition. However, it doesn't really translate from one environment to the next because, for instance, you might want to use a 70% threshold instead of my 60% threshold. Or you might even just want to actually make it work by including your bucket name here. So one of the things I want to do here is I want to make this function require environment variables. And environment variables are just like they are on the operating system level if you're familiar with them there. If not, what they are is declarative variables that are declared in the Lambda function that show up inside of this method as an object called process.env. Now if we look inside of our Lambda function here and we scroll down, we'll find environment variables. So if you type a variable name here and a value here, it will be available at the very beginning of execution to our Lambda function. So in this case, I'm going to add a couple of variables here that will make it so that this code is totally portable. In this case, I'm going to create only one environment variable called website bucket, and we'll use this to declare where we want to transfer our processed images to. So what I'm going to do is cut this piece of string out of our code and move it over into our environment variables. So what I'm going to do now is take this string and put it into the environment variable. And I'll want to go ahead and just paste this right here. And let's go ahead and click Save. And now that that's done, it's as easy as accessing it via the variable process.env.websiteBucket. This will be loaded with that variable value from the interface. And then this way, when you set up your bucket and you change your name to whatever your domain is, you can just follow along here with the code that we've already provided and put it into the And last, I'm going to change this out with a variable, process.env.websiteBucket. All you'll have to do is set your website bucket variable to be the name of the bucket that you're going to use for hosting your public website. In this case, and during this course, I'm going to go ahead and create that bucket right now so that we can set it up appropriately. So let's go ahead and bounce back to our browser. This is the bucket name I used during development. However, we're going to need another one for the actual system that we're building right now. So let's go ahead and open up S3. And we already have a bucket where we're uploading our images and that we've set up to be our initial trigger that takes this all the way through. So what I'm going to do is create a second bucket. And give it a unique name, and we'll go ahead and move to next. So we're going to do something a little bit differently here. On this page, we're just going to accept all the defaults. However, on this specific page, we are not going to block public access. So we've done this before in the earlier videos where we went over S3 and CloudFront. If you want to go check those out, they give more details on all of this. However, this is what allows us to use that ACL variable we took a look at earlier to pass in a publicly readable object. So we'll go ahead and move to next and then create the bucket. This way, it's been marked and ready to go so that objects can be public. So I used a pretty similar name, so I should be able to just type in website here. And we'll go ahead and click save. And now we have it set up so that it'll be using our bucket. And just as an example, we could also add confidence value here and put a 60 or a 70 or whatever we wanted to make this a little more configurable. We're not going to do that because it doesn't really add to the educational experience here, and I want to get on to teaching you guys some other stuff. But just as an example of what environment variables can do, they can do much more than just little strings like this. You can use it as a configurator for your whole function and system. So there you have it. We have our first environment variable. It's the name of the bucket that we're going to be using for our CloudFront deployment. We had to go create our S3 bucket, and we've set ourselves up for some success in the future. This is one of those nice things about proof of concepts. We know where we're going, so therefore we didn't have to really research the CloudFront stuff because we already took that off as a small bite-sized chunk. And it allowed us in this lesson to bypass knowing what to do with the S3 bucket and if we needed public permissions and all of those things. We know those things are going to come into play down the road. This way when we get to CloudFront, it'll be set up for us. So let's go ahead and move on from here.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, do give us a thumbs up and share it. Also check out amazing discounts and offers on our premium courses in the description below.